Welcome to Magic Crossover, presented by Starry. I'm Kendra Douglas. The 2023-24 season for the Magic was a year that the team achieved so much more than experts said they would. The Bleacher Report said that they were going to end 40-42, Orlando Magic HQ 42-40. But as you could see, this Magic team fully believed in themselves and believed that they could be more than just reaching a playoff spot. Head coach Jamal Mosley challenged this team to buy into the system. They understood that, flourishing, earning a fifth seed spot in playoffs, and getting so much respect from those around the league.
I would summarize this season as really 3 seasons in one is what it felt like. Super long, super eventful year. Felt like it was, honestly felt like it was never gonna end. But I would say it was special just being with these guys and accomplishing what we accomplished.
We finally got it to the playoffs, which I think we had all been waiting on. And, we just gotta, regroup for next year.
I think just overall had such a good time with this group, with this staff. And I'll have stories to tell about this year for many years.
Amazing experience with an incredible group of guys. I think everybody really enjoyed each other, and that makes it so much easier to come into the building and work hard. And that's not just players, that's staff, people around the team, and everybody that's kind of associated with it.
I think it was a great season for the Magic. It didn't end it the way we wanted it to end, but us getting back into the playoffs, having a lot of success after the past few years, and just being able to bring life to the city, and just it was fun. So I think it was a great season.
We took strides as a team, and I really think our organization and finding our identity. On the defensive end, we've got a lot of skill on the offensive end as well. We're going to continue to get better at that. But I think we grew as a team and grew as individuals.
I think we had a lot of amazing plays and amazing moments in the season. And I'm extremely thankful for it. I understand how unique this team is to have the chemistry that we have and also be able to have the talent that we have from top to bottom.
We took the next couple steps as a group. I would say that we accomplished a lot of the goals that we set before the season in terms of playoffs, how we played. I think we were just a really tight group. Everybody really enjoyed being around each other and playing for each other. And that made the year really fun.
I feel like we did a really good job this year. A lot of people didn't expect us to go as far as we did. Unfortunately, we lost in Game 7. But looking at the grand scheme of things, I think we, shocked the world. Put Orlando back on the map, and I'm just super excited just to be a part of this team and this organization.
I don't think within the people close to the team we probably did anything too out of the ordinary that what we believed we could do, but obviously to a lot of people on the outside, I think we surprised a lot of them. And as fun as that is, you get a taste of the playoffs and Game 7s and all them, and you want more. So hopefully everyone takes that into the off season now and individually gets better, and then obviously brings it back as a group and keep building on what we did this year.
Welcome back to Magic Crossover, presented by Starry. Joining me from the Orlando Magic is Bo Outlaw and Dan Savage. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. Now, we just heard from the players and their thoughts on this past season. So tell me, what were some of your favorite moments from the regular season? Dan, we'll start with you.
When I look back at the regular season, I mean, you could go back to opening night against the Houston Rockets, and that kind of set the tone. There were a lot of prognosticators who put the Magic and Rockets at about an equal level coming into the season, both young teams on the rise. The Rockets had such expectations after signing a few veteran free agents, and the Magic came out of the gate and blew them out and set the tone of what Kia Center would be like for the rest of the season. And then as you look on as the season progressed, the one that really told me the most about this team was that West Coast trip, January 5th against the Denver Nuggets. So many people were sick on that trip, I think ourselves included. And the Magic went down early to the defending champs, and it would have been so easy to just quit, lay down. Franz Wagner was out, Gary Harris was out. Anthony Black tried to give it a go, played like 4 minutes, and then he was out. Wendell was out. And, they rallied behind Paolo Banchero, who put up a triple-double. and they just found a way to win in a difficult situation. And that was at the point where I started to be like, okay, this team is something different. They know to find a way. There is no quit. And I thought that set the tone for the rest of the year and was such a big win for this team.
Totally agree. That Denver game was one that really stuck out to me the most too. Bo, what about you?
I'm a one-up you, Dan. The beginning of the season, I was a fan. I was telling everybody to buy in, don't understand. My thing was health, that we're healthy. To your point, that Denver game, we were not healthy. But if you rewind that game before the Sacramento game, that's when you knew these guys wanted to come out and compete. We went to what, double overtime, maybe triple, but almost triple overtime. And you know right there, the guys had to fight in them. 2 games left on trip, being Sacramento, Denver, you're like, okay, we can easily lay down. But when you put up that type of fight against Sacramento on the road after you have been on the trip, then come in and say, hey, we're not going out without a fight, and we got one more game. Then comes to Dan Savage's point. Guys out, guys could have easily laid down. So those 2 games right there let you know what those guys were made of, because they say, hey, we're on the court, we're here to compete, and whoever laces them up, we're ready to go.
We know that this is a team thing, but was there a player this season that really stood out to you that maybe, received the challenge of wanting to be better this year and showed that? I mean, of course, we know Paolo is definitely going into his 2nd season and he was an all-star, so I wouldn't be surprised if you said that, but were there any guys that really stood out to you, Bo?
It's going to be easy. That's probably going to be the easiest one because the guy's been with us the longest. He hasn't played a whole year. He still didn't play a whole year. But when he played, everyone knew his value. They knew what he brought to the table, what he was going to do. And when he was available and played, Jonathan Isaac made a big difference on the court, on both ends of the court.
That's a good one. Dan?
I have to go with Jalen Suggs. He was also a guy who early in his career dealt with injuries, finally had an off season where he could really focus on some things. And we saw it with his 3-point shot. He regained confidence in it. He was knocking it down at a high clip. And just his defensive tenacity, night in and night out. If you're playing the Orlando Magic, you were going to have a tough go at it defensively. The team had such a strong record in the regular season, finishing, I believe, 21-2 when they held teams under 100. And the head of that defensive snake was Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs had a pretty phenomenal season. And it's funny that you guys both talked about the health, because one thing that led to the regular season success is the idea that the team bought into the idea of doing it by committee. And early in the season, the team was hit, of course, with injuries early as that tested that mantra, but we saw them pass with flying colors. Let's take a look.
Done by committee is something that was preached to us from the beginning, and it showed, its head and dividends throughout the season, where guys were injured and down, and new guys stepped up. You think about Goga early in the season, didn't play much towards the end of the season, but he carried a big weight for much part of the early season, and we wouldn't be in the position that we are to be in a Game 7 if it wasn't for his contribution. And so many guys, Caleb Houston, AB early in the season, carrying a load as a rookie and playing really, really well. So many guys stepped up, so many guys played really, really well. Chuma had great games. And so it has been by committee, and I'm sure that's something that's going to continue to stick with this team. And it has to be when you think of what an NBA season is like. You never know what's going to happen from game to game. And if it's not by committee, it's hard to accomplish.
By committee is kind of what we went by during the year. And it just kind of means just the fact that we had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of injuries, people in and out during the year. And just the fact that we stayed together as a team, as one, and we were able to keep our play going the same way. Everybody was ready to step up, I feel like, and that's kind of what by committee means.
Yeah, I think that's a big definition or what this team is built off of. Is everybody's kind of needed. Everybody has a role that's very important. We're a very deep team. We embrace that, and I think everybody kind of embraces that role and is fine with that. And that speaks for a high level of connectivity. And again, it's easy to come into the building and work hard when you know your teammate got your back, and everybody's kind of needed. I think everybody really stepped up. And that's what you need. That's what good teams do. And yeah, whether it was Wendell being out or our guards sometimes being injured or stuff like that, myself getting hurt, I think in those moments everybody really stepped up and made sure that they were ready.
When you have this, guys who are committed to the team and are on the same page, it makes it easy for you to go through the year because it's a long season, and the guys really make it easier. And then, just being on the same page just really helps, and you know that you're fighting for the same purpose, same goal, and it just makes it easier.
So, Bo, tell me, just how special is it for a team to not only buy into doing it by committee, but to actually execute it?
Oh man, that's funny you asked me that question because I kind of been in that situation when they didn't predict us to win 42 games though. They predicted us a whole lot lower. So when you have the coach telling you something and then your teammates saying something, you realize don't no one matter other than guys in that gym, the coaching staff, the trainers, everyone who comes to that gym every day. You understand what we're putting into how good we're trying to be. And us as media people, we start to see it every day and say, okay, they might be on to something. But other than that, outside of the gym, no one has a clue that the time you put in, the sweat, the injuries you're dealing with, the way you're trying to get back on the court. It's a lot that goes on to see that finished product of winning. So that makes it really, really special because everyone doubted you, and that put another chip on your shoulder like, hey, we're going to show you guys that we're better than you think. So when we start winning, don't come trying to shake my hand now. Just keep saying what you were saying. As the kids say, you keep that same energy.
Dan, do you want to add any additional comments to that?
I mean, Bo knows is playing on one of the, most underrated teams in NBA history that, personified heart and hustle, what that's all about. But from the Magic side, I think, Bo hit on the head. You bring it every night, and that showed in the Magic's 17-0 record against sub-500 teams at home that they were always willing to bring it regardless of their opponent. And to me, what really personified the by-committee approach is final game of the season. All the stakes are on the line. You're against the Milwaukee Bucks. Everybody wants to play a role in getting this team to the playoffs. And when Jonathan Isaac had it rolling, he shuts down Chris Middleton, goes over and switches on to Damian Lillard, gives him problems. Wendell Carter Jr. is about to check in the game. He sees J.I. rolling and says, Coach, I'm good. J.I. has it rolling, sits back down, and allows J.I. to go. And you could talk all you want about by committee, but when it comes and it personifies itself in that form, guys willing to self-sacrifice, that's a different level of special. Bo's teams had that, this team had that, and that's why they had such great success.
Yeah, for sure. And keeping with you, Dan, early in the season, there was a time when Goga and AB were both inserted into the starting lineup. Just how key was that experience for them?
Oh, huge. As you go through your NBA career and you go from college into the NBA, people could tell you things, tell you to expect certain things, but until you go through them, you can't really, know what you have to change, what you have to alter. And for Anthony Black early in his career to play so many different roles, know what it's like to come off the bench, know what it's like to start, be part of a season-long 9-game winning streak, those experiences are invaluable. And when you hit this time of year where you get to really work on your craft, because I think a lot of people don't realize, when you're during the season, so much of the practice time is either, rest and recovery, or it's about, game planning and installing. You don't really get a chance to work on your individual game all that much except after hours, and there's only so much time you want to put in when you're playing that kind of heavy workload. So for AB now, he gets to review all that tape, work on all the things, the footage of what NBA teams told him, and he really gets to improve. So I think that's invaluable. And Goga, attested to it during his exit interviews. He was a player, as he put it, kind of on the garbage heap. A team had cast him aside, put him on waivers. The Magic pick him up, give him this opportunity, and for him to get to start and play such a significant role meant so much to him. It reproved to himself that he belonged, and I think that's bodes well for his confidence and will really help him going forward.
For both of you guys, at the beginning of the season, we saw that Coach Mosley placed a lot of responsibility on the team, especially Paolo and Franz, and on their shoulders. So how do you think those two were able to handle the pressure? Bo?
I think the summer was big for both of those guys. One won the championship, the other one played in the championships, and he got experience from not being the man on that team. He was part of a team, that USA team, where he was not the man. He was the guy playing a different role, trying to say, how can I fit in? How can I help the team rather than me be the team? So he was figuring out both sides, because when he was with us, yeah, he's our go-to guy. But he's with the USA team, he was a player on the team trying to fit in and say, how can I help this team? I got to play the 5, I'll play the 5. Can play the 4, I'll play the 4. If I got to pass, pick, I'll do that. And as he learned to do that, it helped him. Franz, you saw what he did in this summer. He came in, played great. They won a championship, and they got him some leadership experience. How can you lead a team when you need to? And he did that, and that's what I think the summer for those two guys was great, and they brought what they did in the summer right into the season.
What about you, Dan?
I mean, how many times over the course of the season did we see something stat where it's like, Paolo's the first player to do this since LeBron, or, you know, Paolo and Franz are the first young duo to do this since Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. When you have your name consistently amongst those players, it says you're doing something right, especially at that young age. But I think what's most impressive is the willingness they bring on both ends of the floor, night in and night out. You never hear those guys saying after a game, I need more touches, or I didn't bring it on that end of the floor. Those guys are so focused on both ends, and what that does is it trickles down. When your 2 or 3, youngest and best players are bringing on both ends of the floor, are playing unselfishly every night, it makes it easier for everybody else on the roster to buy into that by committee approach. Those two guys do it. Then it doesn't help, or doesn't hurt matters, I should say, that in a playoff series, you have that combination of guys, go for 30-plus in 4 of those games. Paolo had, 3 30-plus games with 38 in Game 7. Franz had a, clutch 30-plus point performance in a win earlier in the series. So those guys brought it every night this season, and, they're what's really making the Orlando Magic future so bright.
For sure. So let's hear what Paolo and Franz had to say about shouldering the responsibility and leading the team.
Hey. You got Goga right there. You don't got to hack him. Goga coming to get that.
Hey, one stop right here. Hey, one stop right here.
It was good. I think it's not easy. It's not always fun sometimes when you take tough losses and stuff like that, tough battles. But I think me and Franz are ready for it. We're built for it.
Let's go, boy. Yes, sir. Stay locked. Hey, they're more physical this time. Be strong with it. Hey, take care of the ball. We good. We take care of the ball. We good, yo.
Definitely something new, especially for me. That's something that I got to grow into and get more comfortable with it. But I think I tried my best to get more comfortable with that as the season went on and take the next step in that in my career.
Let's go. That's all working.
As Paolo, Franz really cares. He wants to win. He'll do anything to win, whether that's him taking over or him being a pass-first guy. He's taken defensive challenges all year, which he's done really well.
When he's aggressive and he's rolling, he brings a certain type of energy to his team where it just feels like, we're going to be unstoppable. He gets the crowd hype. He's getting downhill. He's getting and ones, he's hitting threes, and he just brings a certain type of energy that he brings a lot of energy just to the whole building, especially the team as well.
Franz is a great leader for us, and he gets a lot done on the court for us. He does a lot with the ball in his hands, so he did a great job of just running the team this year.
Hold that.
I think he brings a level of toughness.
For both the guys, Franz and Paolo, just their dedication and their work ethic is up there with some. I've been lucky to play with some pretty good players, and they're right up there with those guys on how much time and effort they put into getting better.
The one thing I would say is just that I'm super grateful for that opportunity, for being challenged in that way. I think it's a huge privilege, especially as a young player.
We're just getting started together as a team, as a group, as a duo. You know, we're just going to keep building and look forward to seeing what he does over the summer. He's going to continue his ascension, and I'm going to continue working on myself and my game.
As we saw, the Orlando Magic, they earned that 5th seed in the playoffs, faced Cleveland. Tell me, what were some of y'all's thoughts as you saw this team, go from game 1 to game 7? Dan, we'll start with you.
Just a tremendous amount of growth. I think that first game, they didn't really know what to expect. It at times showed. But as the series went on, they really progressed, and we saw them, even on the road, have multiple chances to win, multiple games. But I really think that this team learned a lot from that experience. There's given them a lot to work on in the offseason. And, it taught the team a lot about the roster, what they may need. And so I think for everyone in the Magic organization, this will be a big offseason, a lot of work, a lot of internal growth, and focus on what they can develop in the future.
What about you, Bo?
Yeah, Dan said it kind of started for me. Hopefully, I thought they would took it with them into the regular playoffs, but the play-in, I don't think they were ready for that play-in experience. That first game you saw, go to Brooklyn, don't play at all. Same thing. We start the playoff series. First 2 games, we get hammered. Then we realize, okay, this is a different type of basketball. So we need to change our mindset, and they did that perfectly. Took care of home, and that's what the playoffs is about. It's not a playoffs till you lose at home. So we took care of home, they took care of home, but like you said, Dan, we had a chance to get that game, and now with all that experience and growth and understanding, if we get in that situation next year, they understand what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And I guarantee you, one of those first 2 games, if we're on the road, it'll be a different outcome because they get it and like, hey, ain't no playing around. Ain't say we'll take care of home. We're finna take care of this now and get this job over with.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hear from some of the guys about their playoff experience.
I just feel like it was more of a focus. Just guys really just keep saying embracing it, just embracing the playoff moment, just locking in, watching film, really knowing the opponent, knowing the game plan, different schemes, and like the playoffs is like chess. So just each game was different, and just being able to understand that going into each game, and just for all of us being able to, even a young group, to experience a Game 7 this early in the season. I mean, this early in their career, is definitely gonna, be huge, especially for down the road.
From the regular season to the playoffs, when playoffs came around, you go anywhere, everyone's loving you. I don't know, it's just a different atmosphere, and I'm just so happy that I was able to be a part of it. It was my first time personally being in the playoffs, and now I want nothing less of that. I want to be in the playoffs every year now.
Those were way more physical, way slower the game. Obviously, every possession has a different feel to it compared to the regular season, and especially mentally after in games that where there's a lot on the line that are very emotional. It's important to come back mentally and bounce back the next game. And I think in terms of that, and obviously the details too of watching film and stuff like that, in terms of that, it was a lot different.
What I take away from the playoffs would be that just, it's a different ball game. It's different. Everything I heard about it and saw, and everything that people have said is true. It's definitely something that it's another level. I would say just from the regular season and everything. So definitely want to get back there and win some more. But I think just as the first time, I learned a lot in terms of just what I got to do and what I got to be ready for.
So Dan, you were there for some of these exit interviews. Just what did you notice and what did you hear from the guys about how they felt about the season?
One thing that really stood out to me was everybody was kind of celebrating the fact that this team had exceeded expectations. They had won so many more games than they were expected to. They reached the playoffs. They passed through the play-in. They didn't even have to do that. They had the 5th seed. And this team was in no way satisfied. I mean, those guys were crushed doing the exit interviews 24 hours later after losing Game 7. They really expected to win that game and still be playing basketball. And I think to a man, that is going to motivate all of them heading into the offseason. And that's what you want. You want those guys to be hungry, and they're not going to in any way rest on their laurels. And as to that, as kind of Bo was talking about a little bit earlier, is this experience, winning every game at home, losing every game on the road, has taught them the importance of having home court advantage in the playoffs. They see that now. They see why it's so valuable. And when they start going through the dredges of the season, whether that's late December, right before the All-Star break in early February, they're going to be thinking back to this experience and how important those games are, not to let anyone go, not to let go of the rope. When you're late in the season, you're playing a team like Charlotte, to make sure you go get that game, because home court advantage matters in this league, and it's going to be important for this team going forward to get that. And I think a lot of those guys going through this experience really understand that now.
Yeah, sure. Let's listen to some of the guys and what they have to say about how they're looking forward to next season.
We're excited, I think as a team, we saw what we did this year, and, it did nothing but motivate us, really. I think everybody just motivated to come back even better, players, coaches, everybody. And I think, the league is now kind of on notice of what we can do, and so I think now we got to take it to another level. So
excited about the future, about next year. Like I said, I think we have a great group. We really enjoy each other, and I think chemistry is not easy to find in this league, especially. And hopefully we can continue to build and take the next step next year.
This is just the beginning. This is a first for everyone. Well, most of us here, being in the playoffs. So that's what to expect. A playoff team every year, and of course we're going to go further next year for sure.
We didn't take. I still don't think we took any game for granted this year, not intentionally at least. But next year we definitely won't take any game for granted. We got to get every win we can, because home court is important. You can see that with our series we just had.
Guys, you just heard how excited these guys are for the next season. Tell me, what are you excited about for this upcoming season? Bo, we'll start with you.
Oh, as we were talking earlier, as Dan mentioned it, this summer, what's going to happen? Pieces you need, pieces. You don't need a lot of pieces. You need a piece here and a piece there. What you can do, the least amount of pieces you can bring in, the less amount of people you got to teach a new system. So if I can bring in a piece here and a piece there that you need, that just add to what we got. So this summer for me, it's going to be pretty crucial, because one right piece can make us a totally different team. It's just one player here, one player there. You'd be like, oh man, that was a good pickup. Or we don't want to be on the other end talking about why do we do that. No, we got a good group, and it's going to be hard for the coach to say, do I get this guy? Is he too much? Is he too little? So it's going to be a lot going on. So this summer right here for me is just trying to figure out who you're going to get to fit into this piece of puzzle that we got going.
Dan?
No, I think Bo made a great point. But one thing I'm really excited to see next season is two players who've been slowly integrated into that and figuring out what the Magic culture is all about. Anthony Black and Jet Howard. We saw AB through points of the season. We know he's going to be working tirelessly this offseason. Jet Howard said during exit interviews that he's spending most of his summer here in Orlando working on things. So that first to second year jump can be so big for so many of these guys. We saw what Franz did from year 1 to year 2. We saw it with Paolo. We saw what Jalen did with a few off seasons. I think these two guys are going to come back and be big factors for the Magic next season. We talk about a Magic team that needs shooting. What does Jet Howard bring? He can do that in bunches. So I'm excited to see what the summer holds for these two guys, getting a look at them and the work that they put in. And I think they could come back and be big contributors for a Magic team while already knowing what the expectations are for a Magic player, what it's like to be in that locker room. And they were slowly integrated into that, and I think they'll play an even bigger role next season.
You're so right, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming season. Thank you, Bo and Dan, for being on Magic Crossover presented by Starry.